So, welcome to another episode of the Immigrant Education Collaborative podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, the wonderful, magnificent Dr. Marcia Levi. Dr. Levi, how are you?
Excellent. I'm doing great, Derek. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So, you're affectionately referred to as Dr. Levi by millions. You're the chiropractor to millions. Um, Heavenly hands, wonderful heart, just an
Mm,
incredible person. So this is my favorite question to ask people, right? When I have clients, I usually ask them this, especially if they're, over the age of 25, right? So this is my favorite question. So go back, you're in Guyana. It's you're 15 years old, right? And I'm assuming you're in high school at 15, correct?
just getting ready to graduate.
Oh wow. Okay, we
The
have a prodigy
Bishop's
on our
High
hands.
School, the one and the
Okay.
only, the Bishop's High School.
So you're 15 years old, right? So as we go back, what are you thinking about, like becoming in life at 15? Like what were you projecting yourself to be at 15 in terms of career?
A doctor. I just knew that I wanted to help people heal. Uh,
Mm,
I knew that I wanted to work with people in the healing. And it's not because there were people who were sick around me
hmm
primarily, but it was just a feeling inside, like, this is the thing that I can do. I
hmm
also wanted to teach at the same time. I wanted to be an educator. I was impressed by my teachers and I wanted to do the same things they were doing.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. So I'm recognizing a theme here. Um, so how early in life did the profession of chiropractor show up on your radar? Like how did this, because you said you wanted to be a doctor, but I'm assuming it wasn't a chiropractor at 15.
Never heard of it. I was
hmm
in my 20s and I was at Emory and knew that I did not want to become a medical doctor because
Mm,
nothing that was demonstrated or illustrated or given to me appealed to me. I did not want to do general medicine. The thought of writing a prescription and then having somebody come back and just, did it work? Did it not work? And then just give them another pill did not appeal to me. In fact, I felt sick by the thought. Surgery did not appeal to me. I did not feel the desire to cut into God's wonderful body.
mm,
At one point, catching babies, being an obstetrician, but the way it's structured here in the US, I would have lent myself more to being a midwife.
mm,
And there was not a lot of community around being a Black midwife. So I thought, I'm going to skip that. And so they actually helped me at Emory to identify that I needed to be a chiropractor because they
mm.
asked me what I wanted to do. And I said I wanted to work with my hands.
Ah,
And so they went down this list and they asked me, had I ever heard of a chiropractor when I described to them what I wanted to do? I had never heard it. So this was
mm,
1995, 1996, actually,
hmm
in Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow, wow. That's fascinating. So at the outset, once you had this clarity about, okay, sounds like there was like a self-assessment being done, right? With the
Mhm.
help of some folks at Emory, helping you navigate and figure out, what would be, a career that's aligned with your interests, right? So once you had that clarity, what was it about becoming a chiropractor that really piqued your interest initially before you got started?
So my very first visit to the school, Life University, I was told, I asked, actually, I don't know if I asked, I think I asked what this is about. And I was
Mm,
told the philosophy of chiropractic is above, down, inside, out. So
hmm
from the brain, down the nerves, down the spinal column, out the
hmm
nerves to every cell everywhere, to every organ, every cell in the
hmm
body.
hmm
And I got that because as a Christian, I understood that from God to Jesus to the prophets to people everywhere, a message is carried. So
hmm
that connected for me. I was like, okay,
hmm
so there's something here, very much. And I also knew at that time that the
hmm
cerebrum and the cerebellum formed the cross at the back of the head. And,
hmm
and so if your body is not lined up with the brain, then it doesn't function very well. So
hmm
that, uh, gave me an idea that this is something I could probably do.
hmm
What I did not know then, Derek, was how
hmm
much touch my hands would be involved in. So
mm
I knew the anatomy, I knew the physiology, I knew the biology, chemistry, organic
hmm
chemistry, But the actual thought that in order for me to help someone, I had to lay hands on them, I had to touch them to help them heal,
Hmm.
that was foreign to me.
Right.
That was foreign to me.
Yeah. So I think that's even though it was foreign to you, from an interview that I watched with you where you talked about, your mom taking you as a child and having
Mhm.
hands laid on
Prayed
you
for.
and people prayed for, you know what I mean? Like in hindsight, you kind of see like you were kind of destined for this path, right? And we'll get we'll kind of get
Absolutely.
there. What were some important things, right, for you to understand about yourself, right?
Mhm.
In terms of like mindset before you embarked on this journey, right? So that you can sort of calibrate your expectations appropriately for the reality that you're about to, endure or venture on to become a chiropractor. What did you have to really understand about yourself before you embarked on this journey?
One, that I had to be determined. Like I had
Mm-hmm.
to know the path. Like so right at the end of high school, I knew I wanted to be a doctor, but
Mm-hmm.
I did not take a straight line to being a doctor because my family could not afford it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from teaching as a teacher's aide because
Mm-hmm.
I finished high school at 16 and the University of Guyana only accepted you at 17.
Mm-hmm.
But I also could not afford to pay for university. So I went from being a teacher's aide to teacher's training college for 3 years. I
Mm-hmm.
taught school full time, and then I went to the university in my 20s
Mm-hmm.
in the evening
Mm-hmm.
and earned my first bachelor's. And then after that bachelor's, I came to the US
Mm-hmm.
to continue the education of being a doctor. But along that way, I realized that I wanted to also work with nutrition. So I became
Mm-hmm.
a dietitian. So I
Mm-hmm.
did a number of what I would say degrees that all lend itself to my practice right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have two things. I have the business
Mm-hmm.
of being a chiropractor because I happen to own the business and operate in the business, but I also have
Mm-hmm.
a clinical practice. And
Mm-hmm.
doctors can choose. They can choose to go to a hospital or a group setting, and they can just do the practice and not do the
Mm-hmm.
business. But
Right,
I
right.
happen to be both an
Yeah,
entrepreneur and
yeah,
clinical.
yeah. And again, I think that's really it's impressive, right? So in taking on both of those roles, like there are things that you have to look in the mirror and really understand about yourself, right? Like how do I handle, because there are a lot of things that you have to handle because you're dealing with patients, but you're also
Mhm.
dealing with employees, you know what I mean? You're dealing with, there's a whole host of things, a myriad of things that you're trying to, handle. So what is it about, your journey up to this point, right? That sort of prepared you for this, that you're like, I know this about myself. So even when I encounter these challenges and I encounter these tough times, I can take a step back and here's my framework for how I move forward when I encounter these challenges.
Two things I like to use. We
Mm-hmm.
all have the same 24 hours.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, I'm going to have a new day if God
Mm-hmm.
so allows.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as if I'm down, I can always get up.
Mm-hmm.
So my one of my grandmothers used to say, if you're on the floor, you can get on a chair. And if you're on the chair, you can stand. You can
Mm.
stand, you can
Mm.
fly. Like just take it in steps. And
Mm-hmm.
so if I hit a wall, I'm thinking, can I go, do I need to rest and wait right
Mm-hmm.
here? Do I need to go
Mm-hmm.
around? Do I need to try to go through or over? So
Mm-hmm.
that resilience is the word that I think that I built up over time. That
Mm-hmm.
said, in order to get from here to here,
Mm-hmm.
honor time, use it as wisely as I can, but
Mm-hmm.
also be gracious enough to know that tomorrow's a new day.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are things not done, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean that I have to go beyond rest to get them
Mm-hmm.
done. And then when things are hard, they're not really hard. They're training for the bigger thing. I could give 1,000 stories of the times
Mm-hmm.
when I've said, should I really do this? But when I think of of how I'm thoughtfully touching people and
Mm-hmm.
positively changing them,
Mm-hmm.
that's how one of the measures that I use for to measuring my success, like have I done my worth? Like have I
Right.
maximized my worth, my
Mm-hmm.
potential?
Mm-hmm.
Have I changed a life today?
Yeah.
Helps me to stay resilient through the hard parts or the busy parts or the full
Right.
parts.
Yeah. So again, I know that I want to hold back from just kind of brushing past all these things that you handle, right? Because I know there's a lot that you do. There are many hats that you wear.
Mhm.
You're doing things on a lot of different fronts. But in terms of like your support team, in terms of mentors along the way, who have been those people who have sort of guided you that you can turn to, who've helped you, avoid certain, risks?
So what technology has afforded me is to be able to
Hmm.
look at people who are running companies and the way they're doing it and to take what I want from it. So I wear five hats in my company.
Hmm.
One is the main one is being the doctor. The
Hmm.
other four is being the CEO, the
Hmm.
CFO, head of
Hmm.
HR, and head of PR.
Hmm.
So if I think of those five hats in the time them at work, what I'm doing is dividing up what happens. So I know I have 28 patient hours, doctor hours. And then
Hmm.
the rest of the time that I'm there, I divide amongst those hats. So what
Hmm.
I found that was very helpful for me is that in a CEO role, look at people who were running companies that allow them to be in service with their employees. So you're not just, I'm going to come and tell you what to do, or I'm in
Hmm.
this distant place, but you're in the
Hmm.
same place showing up with them and you're working alongside them.
Hmm.
So there are a couple of people and companies that I chose to do that around the world, look at around the world. For the
Hmm.
CFO, Oprah said, if you sign your own checks, you'll understand why you don't have money.
Hmm.
So my accountant works alongside me
Hmm.
and with me. I
Hmm.
take his direction, but I also take the opportunity to read and do webinars and to talk to people in a mastermind group who are
Hmm.
we're more advanced. They have multiple companies and so on.
Yeah.
So I try to be when there are conversations around meeting people with the CEO and CFO, I want to be the baby in the room.
Yeah.
Green one, the fly on the wall. I want to hear
Yeah.
them say how they're doing it. That when
Hmm.
I ask a question because I have a stumbling block, it can be easily erased. They're like, oh, this is how you do it. This is how you get around it.
Hmm.
Human resources, I hire companies to help me. My job is just to push the button at the end of the day and to sign off
Hmm.
on the reports.
Yeah.
So as much as I say I'm head of HR, I don't actually do the work. There are very good companies out there to do that.
Hmm.
Same thing with PR. This is my team doesn't like the fact that I don't like to be in public, but they're working very hard on making sure because I'm an introverted thinker, an extroverted
Right.
communicator, but I'm
Mm.
an eyeball communicator. So if
Hmm.
you're in front of me in my space and we can feel my energy, oh, happily, I'll be there for conversation. So just getting randomly on and just sending this video out into the masses doesn't is not part of my like my top level DNA. I have
Mm.
to train myself to be comfortable with knowing that there isn't somebody that I can tangibly see beyond this message. Even like we're
Yeah.
having this conversation now,
Yeah. Yeah.
my brain is like, it's going to millions of people are going to hear this message.
Mm. Hmm.
And my thought, my prayer is, and my thought that it will touch millions of them and
Hmm.
that at least 100 people will be changed by this
Yeah.
message in a positive way and become
Yeah.
chiropractors, amazing
Yeah.
chiropractors.
There you go.
They want
I,
to be
I
touch doctors.
I love that. I love that. So I think in your response, there was a lot to unpack in your response, right? And I think for especially for the younger people, what I want them to get from this is that you're able to utilize help, right? Like
Hmm.
there are partners, and sometimes in getting the help, even from a mentor, it may be something that you have to pay for, right? And
Oh,
you
yes.
either pay with time or you pay with money. So you mentioned, you're like, hey, I'm a part of a mastermind,
Hmm.
right? Where I'm not the smartest, I'm the youngest person or the
Hmm.
person who knows the least, so I'm learning from everyone. But that's something that you have to pay for, right? So you either have to pay with
Yes.
time or you have to pay with money.
Money. Yeah.
So I think it's very important, and I appreciate you saying that because I think a lot of times folks feel like they have to do everything on their own. And you're saying, listen, I wear these hats, but I also know how to delegate, right? So it's the idea of Dan Sullivan's book where he talks about who, not how.
Hmm.
You don't have to do everything. You just have to know who does it well and find that person. And you've taken that even further. You're like, yes, I don't have to do it, but I still want to understand it.
I do.
Right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Comprehension is key.
Hmm.
I've spent, I imagine, a lot of money over the years using coaches in every aspect. So
Hmm.
you can be the doctor, and even that
Mm,
requires a coach because,
mm,
and I think you should always, every top-notch athlete, every person
mm-hmm,
who's intending to take themselves from one strength to the other, or even if you
mm-hmm,
have a body of information and you want to keep it sharp, you're going to use
mm-hmm.
a coach. You're going to pay for a coach. And I tell
Right.
people, pay in real money and don't,
Mm-hmm,
like, I like to prepay for my coaches because I want them to know I've sacrificed to be here and I'm going to be
mm-hmm,
present for the homework and the work that you asked me to do. So at the end of the day, the fruit that I get is what I planted, like how I work
mm-hmm.
the field. And
Yeah,
so just being able to be intentional with yourself to say, I want to grow and I need my coach to be present. And then there are different coaches,
yeah.
right? Like I remember very first when I said to my accountant that I wanted to, my financial team, I wanted to hand it off. He's like, no, no, no. Line by line, you're going to understand what his tax return looks like.
Mm-hmm,
And I said, well, why would I need to know it? He said, because if you walk backwards, you would need to know what it takes to go forward. So
mm,
if this is what you did last year, this is just a retrospect, but you need to know. So yeah,
mm-hmm,
coaches are essential to every hat I wear,
mm-hmm.
and I'm grateful for all of my coaches.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that. I think that's a great piece of insight, especially for young people to understand, right? You need a solid peer group, folks who are around you who are into the same things that you're into. You need
Hmm.
solid coaches, right, who
Yes.
can, teach you, hold you accountable. You need mentors, right? And then you also need sponsors. So these are like the four wheels on the car to get you where you need to go. So I love the fact that you jumped out there before I did. And and I appreciate you sharing that, right? Because a lot of times that's something that we can gloss over and everyone can just sit here and be like, oh, she's amazing. She's doing everything, but you're very
Mhm.
intentional about, hey, I got to build my team. I'm understanding. And then I have to pay to learn to have this done. I have to, really work, deliberately to understand this work and this practice to make sure that it's firing on all cylinders. So I appreciate you sharing that. So here's my next question, right?
Hmm.
How has becoming a chiropractor allowed you to serve in a way that has brought you to your calling or closer to your calling?
There's nobody else like a chiropractor. Should be the first doctor from birth.
Mm,
When
mm,
you've used your head as a battering ram to come down the
mm,
vaginal canal, and
mm-hmm,
you're born into this world, if somebody's not there to check your spine and make sure it's aligned, then you're already working from a deficit.
mm-hmm,
If you've ever had a bump, tump, anything that takes you out of alignment, then your body has to work harder to come back because nobody's ever balanced. It's just working in alignment. Because
mm,
even a scale, there's a little give that happens. So some people think, oh, I need balance. No, you need alignment. You need alignment.
mm,
You need alignment.
mm. Yeah,
And when you're lined up, then you're able to pull down your greatest potential.
yeah.
We say in our office, helping you maintain your health so you can maximize your potential. So our
Mm,
job is just to make sure that you function at your highest level. So as a chiropractor,
mm-hmm,
I get to do that. Whether it's a spinal bone that's out of alignment or a joint
mm-hmm,
that's out of alignment, being able to help facilitate that realignment so then the body can go ahead and knit itself together and knit itself
mm-hmm.
together well. Oh, yes.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And so one of my favorite words is alignment, right?
Mm,
I think alignment is just, for me, it's one of my favorite words. Like I use it in terms of like career alignment, like making
mhm,
sure that folks are aligned in the things that they're truly interested in, right? Because then that gives you a chance to really invest, persevere, really expand yourself if you enjoy what you're doing. If there's true alignment, then there's no stopping you, right?
mhm.
So what does that look like for you? Because you just mentioned the word alignment. So what does that word mean for you in terms of the trajectory that you've been on? Like I know that you're, like spiritually, just in all aspects, you're extremely grounded. So what does alignment look like for you, within your career and who you are? Like, how do those two things align, right? And what I mean by that is, you're not what you do, right? And what you do is not who you are, right? It's
Mhm.
part of what you do. So can you talk about alignment, like how would you describe, like the totality of Dr. Levi in terms of alignment, in your
Girl,
words?
in few words, I tell you, it is when I wake up in the morning
Mm-hmm.
and I thank God for the day, I ask
Mm-hmm.
Him for my purpose. Like
Mm-hmm.
today, how do I serve? Because I'm a toolbox. So if a person
Mm.
needs a hammer, they need a nail, they need a piece of tape or glue
Mm-hmm.
in my work. But the person, Marcia, the person has to
Mm-hmm.
be ready to come to work. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I visualize is a vineyard, a garden,
Mm.
a farm.
Mm-hmm.
The chickens have to be fed. You have to water the plants. You have to
Right.
go out and do this thing. Otherwise, you're on the farm and those animals or the plants cannot produce for you.
Mm-hmm.
So the end of the day, I'm reaping the benefit of the work that I'm doing. So
Mm-hmm.
first is the headset, like what do I do today and how do I serve today? And then I ask for the energy and the clarity to do the work I'm supposed to do. And
Mm-hmm.
that came from high school. Like I said, I attended the Bishop's High School in Guyana. And originally it was a girls' school, and then it became a co-ed. When I
Mm-hmm.
attended, it was a co-ed.
Mm-hmm.
And the the boys at the time that I went to school with challenged us as girls to push beyond just being, you know, ladylike because they in a lot of classes they were smart and a sharp and there was healthy competition in going back
Mm-hmm.
and forth. So
Right.
in practice, I happen to practice by myself. But but if I worked with another doctor, I would want that same, yin yang push.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is when a patient comes into me, can I help them be better than they were the day before and the week before and the month before? So I'm also challenging myself. I'm not responsible for their health. I'm responsible for removing the interference. But can I be faster, softer, more precise, more specific, and can I pour more information into them than they did not have in the last visit? So
Mm.
there's also that step up that happens.
I love that. So here's a question for you. So looking back, right, in hindsight, when you look, you look back, I know you're
Mhm.
doing a lot, right? So I don't know how often you reflect on how far you've come from. Does this all make sense to you, how you got here? How you found your way to becoming a chiropractor? Are you like you look back and you connect the dots and you're like, okay, I see how I got here.
Yes and no. When I look back, I would have if I had the resources and the support at the time, or even understood what my mission was,
Mm-hmm.
or I listened to what I was told, because I think I
Mm-hmm.
was told, but I did not listen,
Uh-huh.
or act upon the information I was given because I was young and wise.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I took the long way, the
Mm.
long way. But had I listened, I
Mm-hmm.
remember teachers telling me, no, go straight to medical school now. And I was like, I can't afford
Mm.
it. And then the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I could afford it was because I was able to work and earn international student scholarships, but also
Mm-hmm.
academic scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
But had I listened, I would have gotten there faster,
Mm.
or in a shorter time. So
Yeah.
it taught me, and I say this to young folks that I mentor, the wisdom when someone tells you go is because you may not know your potential, but they see it for you.
Mm.
And they're like, you are ready. And
Mm.
whatever fear or lack of courage you're dealing with and so on, you just have to take that leap of
Mm-hmm.
when they say, this is the path, you need to go try this. Because I would have finished it sooner. I ended up with more degrees before I got my doctor of chiropractic degree. Now
Yeah.
they helped me in practice and they certainly helped me be there. But instead of 8 years of school, I have 12, 13 years of
Yeah.
school, the sort of thing that made you go, man,
Yeah.
you've been here faster.
Yeah.
I could have been here. And just because I want to help more, I feel like I could have helped more people faster. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Okay. That's
looking back
interesting.
and thinking,
Yeah.
yeah, I should have listened to some of the guidance that I was given
Yeah.
and acted
But
upon it.
do you think if you'd acted upon it at the time that it was given to you, that it would have led you to becoming a chiropractor?
Yes, because God wants you where He wants you when He wants you where He wants you.
Okay.
You have to be like He has a plan for you that's already
Yeah.
mapped out. So
Yeah.
it's a matter of you getting on the road with the plan and
Yeah.
working through it. Because I
Yeah.
already knew my hands were special,
Mm-hmm.
but I was not courageous enough to tell people that I knew my hands were special because I
Right.
didn't want them to think that I was different or odd.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I remember in our first clinic year, when I adjusted a patient, you're not supposed to do that until seventh quarter, and I did it in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And my professors thought I was practicing something bad or illegal. They were like, you're
Right.
not
Right.
supposed to practice outside. How did you know what to do? And I
Yeah.
said, I felt it. And one professor said to me, oh, I know what you mean. What she did was she understood that my touch had matured beyond my academics. Like I
Mm.
knew when I touched a person what to do. but
Right.
my academics had not lined up because you have to take certain classes and pass them before, quote unquote, you're
Mm-hmm.
qualified. But
Right.
my hands had already matured through that. And so
Mm-hmm.
just understanding that of yourself and saying, it's not unlike somebody who says, I'm music is my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you just need to be in that right setting to make that flourish, that gift,
Mm-hmm.
that talent flourish.
So for someone who's considering exploring the idea of becoming a chiropractor, how would you talk them into it?
Show them what I do. We're
Mm,
getting ready to start an apprenticeship program with the state of Maryland for high schoolers.
mm, mm,
Based simply on the reason that I don't wear a mic and the bones aren't sounding crazy and I'm not twisting people into pretzels.
mm-hmm,
While their chiropractic has over 200 techniques.
mm-hmm,
The technique that I happen to practice, I can do the twisting, but I could not do that to a newborn or somebody who's pregnant. My oldest patient currently is 101
mm.
years old. Her birthday was yesterday. And sorry, her birthday's today. She turns 101 today, the 18th.
Okay.
And so I would want them to see that the thing that I do is one tiny fraction of chiropractic care, but it's effective and it's intentional and it's successful because it helps people change their lives.
Mm-hmm.
However other technique they choose, I would also want them to see the fruit, um, the change that people experience
Mm-hmm.
firsthand. So I'd want them to see the work.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's really good that you're exposing high schoolers
Mm-hmm.
to this profession that early, because that's what it's all about. It's about early exposure so that they know, hey, this is actually a possible,
Career.
career path for me to pursue. So the flip side of that is for someone who isn't quite sure that this is for them, how would you talk them out of it?
Would I talk them out of it? So here I would say to them is you have to
Mm-hmm.
touch people. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, every day you're gonna have to touch people. So if
Mm-hmm.
that's not your thing, if it's not being up close and personal and touching people, and I touch people on their skin, and if
Mm-hmm.
that's not what you want to do, then absolutely not. You can
Mm-hmm.
be a chiropractic manager, you can be a chiropractic lawyer, you can be a
Mm-hmm.
chiropractic accountant, meaning that you are a lawyer, accountant, or a manager and you help chiropractic offices be successful. So you
Mm-hmm.
can be around our field, but you cannot
Mm-hmm.
be the doctor. Do you
Yeah,
see? Because we're held
absolutely.
up by all these people. I mean, we need lobbyists. We
Mm-hmm.
need we need people on our side to help push our
Mm-hmm.
message and to help us run successful businesses. So I would say if you're not sure being a chiropractor is your thing, the way you would know is, am I comfortable with touch?
Mm.
Giving touch,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we don't let our patients touch us unless we're
Yeah.
extending a hug, but being able to touch someone and feel and be comfortable with that every day is like
Mm-hmm.
asking somebody to be a hairdresser,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Just want to, do you want to be around here all the time? Are you constantly thinking of how you can help somebody look different?
So I wanted to go back. Number one, I think I saw in preparing for this, the American Chiropractic Association, which is headquartered here in the DMV, the annual conference is
Next
the
week.
22nd next week, right? Yeah. So shout
Mhm.
out to the ACA.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to something you said earlier, and it ties into sort of a question that I have. You said something about a chiropractor should be there at birth, right? Should be
Mhm.
like one of the first doctors that a newborn
Yeah.
encounters, right? And I love that idea. So it ties into my question about what are you excited about going forward? What are some of the things? Because to me, that sounds really exciting. It sounds like an initiative, an interest, a passion that, if anybody can make this happen, it's Dr. Levi. So what are some things that you're interested in going forward?
This teaching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've long, hung out in my practice and felt comfortable and just spoken to smaller groups about it. But it
Mm-hmm.
really frustrates me when I see people are not maximizing the opportunity to get themselves realigned.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you don't have to choose. I tell you, you don't have to choose me. But there
Mm-hmm.
are chiropractors who are wellness based, who take care of babies, who take care of children, who take care of athletes, who certainly take care of the elderly. And their
Mm-hmm.
jobs are jobs so, and we do it with passion and love, above, down,
Mm-hmm.
inside out. If we
Mm-hmm.
can get you lined up And that's my
Mm-hmm.
thing now. It's like you have got to come to this profession and understand that by lining someone up, aligning them, you're helping them heal on their own. You
Mm-hmm.
maximize their potential. So if a
Mm-hmm.
person's dealing with a condition, you've now given them an opportunity to operate at a higher vibration and a higher function.
Mm-hmm.
We're giving them an opportunity to say, listen, my brain can talk to these nerves much faster and cleaner than anything else. So whether you're
Mm.
healing from a debilitating disease or surgery or anything else, we can certainly help you. And anybody who's coming into this profession, you can help someone heal
Mm-hmm.
faster.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. So can you just talk really quickly, just and this is probably unfair to you, but can you sum up for, in the simplest way possible, sort of why it's important for someone who, what are some good reasons that people may not have thought about why they should visit a chiropractor? I think you just covered some of it there, but I think in this conversation, it's almost like I want to make sure that people leave having a clear understanding of what a chiropractor does and
Sure.
why it's important to visit one.
It is not a hard thing for me to stay with you. And so don't worry about that at all, Derek. Thank you for this opportunity to share this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're watering your garden with a
Mm-hmm.
hose
Mm-hmm.
and someone steps on it and the
Mm.
water isn't coming out anymore, it's underneath their feet. They can feel the vibration. And when they look backward, the bulge is starting to happen.
Mm.
From disc bulges to herniations to what we call pain or loss of function of organs, is
Mm-hmm.
because there's interference. If I ask you to hold your breath right now, just
Mm-hmm.
that's suffocation. If you
Mm-hmm.
held your breath, we know that is suffocation. But if your nerve is choked off, that's a
Mm.
subluxation.
Mm.
That's a subluxation. The crux of what a chiropractor does is we remove subluxations. We remove that foot off the garden hose. We remove the fingers off the nose. We allow energy to flow freely so then the
Mm-hmm.
body can function in its highest potential. So if a person says, should I go to a chiropractor? When they say before you exercise, you should go see your doctor, they should
Mm-hmm.
slide that word doctor aside and put chiropractor specifically
Mm-hmm.
because you can come into me in pain and I take your blood pressure is going to be elevated because
Mm-hmm.
the function of the body is to elevate your blood pressure to flush the pain signals, the pain receptors, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you've sat in your car and driven to me and you're dehydrated and you've sat in traffic, your blood pressure is going to be elevated. Do you have a
Mm-hmm.
blood pressure problem or do you have an out of alignment problem?
Mm.
So I can gather the information for your health insurance if you're going to use your health insurance. Like I
Mm-hmm.
use an oximeter because if a person could tell if your pulse is running over 70, you're not exercising like the way you said you should be doing your
Mm-hmm.
cardio. So we use vitals to help us. But the main thing is that we know when we get our hands and evaluate you, and I use thermography in my office to help me, and that's a heat scan. But if
Mm-hmm.
I run my hands down your spine, and this is not speaking of people who have a scoliosis or any other misfunctions in your spine, I
Mm-hmm.
can tell by my training and my experience that you are not lined up the way you're supposed to be. And
Mm-hmm.
so being able to gently bring that change happen. So I encourage everybody to go and at least get checked.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can make a decision of whether you want to be corrected. Most people
Mm.
think if you come to a chiropractor, you'll be there for life. Well, you stop brushing your teeth
Right.
for 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
maybe four, maybe five. Try seven.
No, no,
And
no.
so if you've never gone to the dentist, I don't want to imagine it because of what happens in your mouth and down your digestive system. And you've never gone to a chiropractor, they're the same, if not more important,
Mm-hmm.
because the nerves from the spine go to the teeth.
Mm.
And so if you keep having dental issues and you haven't had a chiropractor clear your spine, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to keep staying in that loop,
Mm-hmm.
right? Most people come to us because they think they need to just come because of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And when they tell me pain, in my head, I think function. They're
Mm.
here for me to help them with function. So they're
Nice.
like, I hurt my knee, and I'm thinking, I just have to get you back to function.
Mm.
Because when your body is functioning in its optimal space because you're aligned, then there are no limits to how you can maximize your potential. So
Gotcha.
everybody should get checked.
Okay.
Everybody under the sun should get checked at least once in your life, if not regularly, And then
Hmm.
if there's a problem, you can choose to fix it, get it clear,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like, and that good analogy, that water hose, brushing your teeth.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. So this portion right here is for our young people, right?
Mhm.
So, can you very succinctly just outline for them, upon graduating high school, like these are the requirements to becoming a chiropractor. Like how many years of college, like, and what would be some preferred majors for them to pursue in their undergrad? And then after they get their undergrad degree, then what are the next steps to becoming a chiropractor?
I would say to them that before you leave high school,
Mm-hmm.
get an opportunity to walk with a chiropractor, sit in a mentorship or internship, at
Mm-hmm.
least that summer, to understand what's happening in our office. And if you can go from your sophomore year, your junior year, so you can get to see the aspects of the office. And
Mm-hmm.
then it helps you too to identify if you want to be the touch, because
Definitely.
you can be other careers like we talked about earlier.
Yep, yep, yep.
What helped me greatly was the sciences, because
Mm-hmm.
it's anatomy and physiology. You
Yep.
didn't have to know intimately every system of the body, because if a person comes and tells me I have pain in my big toe, I
Mm-hmm.
know which slice in the brain, which
Mm-hmm.
nerves in the slice of the brain control the
Mm-hmm.
big toe.
Mm-hmm.
You may come to me and say, I have low back pain, and I understand the curve, the anatomy of the body, means that
Mm-hmm.
I need to adjust your neck before I can release the pressure in your low back. So
Mm.
sometimes people like the pain is here, you're not touching here. Yes, because that's a compensation, not a problem. The
Got
subluxation
you.
is somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So anatomy and physiology would greatly help.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things with chiropractic schools is they tend to, most of them have a bachelor's program at the school that will
Mm-hmm.
help introduce you into the chiropractic program.
Got you.
If you're listening to this and you're in the US,
Mm-hmm.
it's important for you to understand though that every state in the US licenses us differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a Georgia, New York, and Maryland license, and they require different things. So the state of Maryland required that I have had completed a bachelor's before I started my doctor of chiropractic degree.
Mm-hmm.
And they lean toward more that you had a science-based bachelor's
Mm.
before. So when you
Okay.
come back to the state of Maryland to be licensed, that's what they're looking at, because when they
Mm-hmm.
evaluate your transcript, they're looking to see that you're knowledgeable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of that.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia did not require a bachelor's. I could have done it with an associate degree. So I could have done a sciences, an associate degree. New
Mm-hmm.
York does not mind if you have a bachelor's in something other than sciences,
Got you.
because the chiropractic degree is so robust.
Mm-hmm.
Literally everything I learned in the bachelor's program, anatomy and physiology science, it went into much deeper detail.
Got you.
The other thing I have to tell anybody who's choosing to be a chiropractor is that we do dissection, but we don't actually do cadavers anymore like I did when I went to school 20 plus years. But
Mm-hmm.
they use technology and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of 3D to help you.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say to someone who's thinking, I wonder if I can be this kind of doctor, is
Mm-hmm.
find someone close to you to observe and spend some time with them and understand the flow of being a doctor versus and of being a business owner. Because you
Mm-hmm.
could choose just to be the doctor and you'll be perfectly fine. In fact, you would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you said, depending on where, I tell them, get your bachelor's in the science, because you don't know where God will lead you later.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
be prepared at the highest level,
Mm-hmm.
get your bachelor's in the sciences, and then apply to chiropractic school. And the chiropractic schools are in warm weather on the East
Mm-hmm.
Coast, north
Okay.
in New York, and out in California or Davenport, Iowa, the Fountainhead. I chose not to go to Davenport, Iowa. I'm a tropical girl, so I went to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pick your chiropractic school based on what they do. There are some schools that do not do modalities. I'm also trained in physiotherapy, and then I have my dietetics degree. But
Okay.
some schools only do chiropractic, like strictly, like that's it. So you get to, when you do visit your campuses, you get to see, does this campus allow me the opportunity to get more, to do more than just a chiropractic degree?
Mm-hmm.
And that would be the way that I would encourage them to do. Get
Okay.
your visit first, bachelor's, get your doctor of chiropractic degree.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. That's very
Mhm.
thorough. So I want to thank you for taking the time. to break this down for something that for a lot of us, there's some mystique around, being a chiropractor, right? And what chiropractors do. So I think, this was a pretty thorough introduction, and it's also good for people to see someone like yourself who's doing amazing work. So I really appreciate you. You're one of my favorite human beings on this planet. So thanks for taking the time out. And this was very helpful. Can you tell folks how they can find you?
So I am in Laurel, Maryland, and our name of our practice is Optimal Care Chiropractic. I tell people you can go to Optimal Care Chiropractic, but you can also do Levi Laurel Chiropractor
Hmm.
if you're doing a quick search.
Yeah.
And yeah, our website comes up. You can do the contact form. You'll get in touch with my team. If you're interested in being a patient or coming in, you can use a contact form and say, Dr. Levi, I'd like to spend some time getting to know more about what you do. You can certainly use that. If you're interested in being part of our practice, then you can complete our new patient intake form and our team will invite you in. They'll have a conversation with you and invite you in.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Levi. I really appreciate you. I'm forever
You're
indebted
welcome.
to you. Thank you.
Thank you too, Derek. All the
All
best.
right.
Bye.
Take it easy.